My foster family of 11 years is kicking me out by the end of the week. I have nowhere to go and I feel broken. I, 18M, was told earlier today that I need to pack up and leave by the end of the week. Came out of nowhere, and I still feel in shock, like the rug has been pulled out from under me. It's hard to wrap my head around the fact that in just a few days, I'll be out on the street trying to figure out what to do next. My story starts when I was removed from my biological family at the age of 7 due to issues with my parents. Issues I won't go into detail about, but suffice it to say they were significant enough to warrant my removal from their care. I bounced around in foster care for a bit, which is not uncommon, but it's a chaotic and unsettling experience for any child. Then I was matched with a couple who I will call the Peters. It's not their real name. Even though a part of me wants to shout their real info from the rooftops, I know that's not the right thing to do. The Peters were always really nice to me, at least in the beginning, and since I moved in when I was pretty young, after a while I started to consider them my parents. I called them Mum and Dad. It wasn't just a formality. I genuinely felt a bond with them. They treated me kindly, took me on family vacations, helped me with schoolwork, and in many ways, made me feel like I was part of a real family. Their biological son, who is now 25, was like an older brother to me. We had our differences, but I looked up to him in many ways, and we shared some good times together. The Peters weren't just fostering me. They also had a 9-year-old boy who has lived with us for a little over a year. It's a common practice for some families to take in multiple foster children, and I always thought it was because they wanted to help as many kids as possible. I wasn't their only foster child, but I was there the longest. They never adopted me, and I always wondered why. It seemed like a natural step, considering how long I'd been with them and how integrated into the family I felt. But they always reassured me, saying that it didn't matter, that a piece of paper wouldn't change anything about how they felt about me or how they saw our relationship. They told me that it didn't matter and that legality didn't make us a family. And for the longest time, I believed them. I believed that we were a family in every sense of the word, and that the absence of an official adoption didn't diminish the love and care they had for me. However, everything changed today. I was browsing their fostering agency's website earlier today, something I did out of curiosity. I stumbled upon some financial information that shocked me. I found out that they were getting paid at least £2,400 for me per month. That was a lot of money, more than I had ever realized. Or at least they were getting that amount until I turned 18. Apparently, once I became a legal adult, they stopped receiving the fostering allowance that had been supporting my stay with them. This was news to me. No one had ever explained the financial side of things to me, and I guess I never thought to ask. It felt weird, like discovering there was this whole other layer to our relationship that I hadn't been aware of. However, they applied for a staying put arrangement for me, which meant they would continue getting paid something as they continued to support me and let me live with them. It wasn't as much as before, though. I think it was like £1,000 per month, a significant drop from what they were getting before. They told me they had it approved until I was 21, so I thought I'd be able to stay at least until I finished university. I was relieved, thinking that this would give me enough time to get my feet under me, to find a job, and to transition into adulthood with some semblance of stability. Today, they sat me down and dropped the bombshell. They told me that fostering is a business and that they couldn't afford to keep me on just the staying put arrangement allowance. They framed it as a financial decision, saying that the £1,000 a month wasn't enough to cover the costs of keeping me in their home. They told me I had until the end of the week, just 4 days, to find somewhere else to live. They tried to make it sound like it was just a matter of practicality, something that wasn't personal. They said they needed my room because they wanted to get a new foster placement, someone they could get the full fostering allowance for. They literally told me it's not personal. Like that makes me feel any fucking better. It felt like a slap in the face, a brutal reminder that I was, at the end of the day, just another foster kid passing through. They tried to soften the blow by saying they would still consider me like a son, but not their son anymore. The distinction was painful. It was like they were saying, "You're like family, but not really family." They said they wanted to keep in touch, but those words felt hollow, like something you say out of obligation rather than genuine sentiment. What a joke. It was clear that they were more concerned about the financial implications of keeping me around than about my well-being or our supposed family bond. They choose to kick me out, an 18-year-old with no job, no income, no nothing, about to start university. It's not like I have any savings or a safety net to fall back on. Yet their bio son, who is 25 and has a stable job, gets to stay. It's so blatantly unfair, and it hurts more than I can put into words. It makes me feel disposable, like all the years I spent with them meant nothing. Like I was just there to fill a space, to serve a purpose. And now that I'm no longer profitable, I'm being tossed aside. So yeah, I guess fuck me, right? I'm just the one no one ever wanted. I guess I wasn't ever truly part of their family. It's a harsh realization, one that I'm still trying to process. It's not just about being kicked out. It's about everything I thought I knew being turned upside down. I thought I had a place in this world, a family that cared about me, And now I feel like I'm back to square one, abandoned and alone. It's terrifying to think about what comes next. Where will I go? What will I do? I have no idea, and that uncertainty is almost paralyzing. But I guess I don't have a choice. I have to figure something out, and I have to do it fast. I just wish things could have been different. I wish they could have seen me as more than just a foster kid, as someone worth keeping around even when the money stopped coming in. But I guess that's too much to ask. Mini update. Okay, thank you guys for all your advice. The support and suggestions have been overwhelming, and it's really helped me start to process everything that's going on. Honestly, I was in a state of shock yesterday, and maybe I still am today. The whole situation is surreal, and it's hard to wrap my head around it. I wasn't thinking straight at all. Everything felt like it was happening too fast. I barely slept last night, only managed about 2 hours, and I think the exhaustion is starting to hit me. I'm probably a little delirious today as well, which isn't helping me think clearly. The reality of the situation is slowly sinking in, and I'm trying to figure out my next steps. Firstly, I have contacted my personal advisor, who is supposed to help me navigate situations like this. He's been supportive in the past, and I'm hopeful he can help now. We've scheduled an emergency meeting for 1:30, so I'll have more details about what's going to happen to me then. I'm really hoping he can provide some clarity and guidance. He'll hopefully be able to sort out emergency accommodation for me, which is a huge relief because I can't imagine what I'd do otherwise. The idea of being homeless is terrifying, and I'm trying to stay positive and focus on finding a solution. Secondly, to those of you saying the Peters can't legally just give me 4 days notice to leave, I will definitely be mentioning this to my PA and get his advice on it. I didn't know this at first, but apparently, there are rules and regulations that prevent foster carers from kicking someone out with such short notice, especially when the person is still in full-time education and transitioning into adulthood. I don't want to stay here any longer than I need to because, since they told me, it's like I don't exist to them. They just look right through me. It's incredibly uncomfortable and makes me feel like I'm walking on eggshells. But I'm not going to move out until I have safe accommodation lined up. I will outright refuse to leave if there's nowhere for me to go. I am not going to be made homeless because of their sudden change of heart. It's my life, and I need to protect myself first and foremost. Thirdly, for those of you suggesting I contact my uni, I definitely will. I have an offer from them, but it's only conditional if I get my predicted A levels. I'm working hard towards that, but there's still that uncertainty hanging over me. Hopefully, I will meet the conditions, but since I'm not technically a student yet, I don't know if they will actually provide any support yet. I'll reach out to them to explain my situation and see if there's any assistance they can offer even at this stage. Maybe they have emergency housing options or some kind of support network for prospective students in crisis situations. Every little bit helps right now, and I need all the support I can get. Finally, I am also going to ensure that the staying put allowance stops. I've been thinking about it, and if they're going to kick me out, they shouldn't be receiving money that's supposed to be for my care. It's only fair, and I'll tell my PA today that it should surely be stopped if I'm not living with them. It feels wrong for them to benefit financially from a situation where they're essentially abandoning me. Luckily, I have some money saved from birthdays and part-time work over the years. It's not much, but it will help tide me over until I can figure something more permanent out. Some people here have mentioned that I might be entitled to a bursary when I start uni, and that could really help with living expenses. Plus, I'll have my maintenance student loan to help me cover costs once I'm officially a student. I've already started looking for a job. Anything to give me some financial security and stability. It's a lot to handle all at once, but I'm determined to make it through this. Update 2. Okay. Hi everyone. I just got home and am feeling incredibly tired, so this is just going to be a short update. Today has been an emotional roller coaster, and I'm still trying to process everything that's happened. It's been a long, exhausting day, filled with a lot of intense conversations and emotions. Basically, I had a big, long meeting with my personal advisor, PA, and he was very sympathetic and clearly felt upset that the Peters are treating me this way. He was surprised and disappointed by their decision, especially considering the long-term relationship we had. We had one meeting in the morning where I explained everything that had happened, how sudden it all felt, and how unprepared I was for this situation. He listened attentively, taking notes and asking questions to make sure he fully understood the context. After our initial meeting, I went to get some food, as I hadn't eaten all day, and my PA went to speak to the Peters directly. This was a crucial step, as he needed to hear their side of the story and understand their reasoning for such a sudden and drastic decision. When I came back, we had another meeting where he updated me on everything that had transpired. My PA was very thorough in explaining the options available to me and what steps we would take moving forward. He's putting me on the list for social housing, which is a big relief. It's not a quick fix, but it's a step in the right direction. I am hopeful that it will not be long until I am able to get my own place. He explained that the process might take some time, but they will prioritize my case given the circumstances. I recorded the meeting because I'm so sleep deprived and also because I have really bad memory processing for long conversations due to my dyslexia and autism or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. It's just something I've struggled with for a while. I can listen to it again tomorrow after I've had some rest, but from what I gather, they will help me with paying for rent costs initially, and I will also receive some financial assistance to help pay for furniture and essential household items. This is a huge relief because I was worried about how I would afford to set up a new home from scratch. When my PA spoke to the Peters, he had a long discussion with them. I don't know if he explicitly told them they had to keep me housed for a while longer or if he just strongly suggested it, but either way, they've agreed to let me stay until the end of August. This gives me a bit more time to sort things out and find a more stable housing solution. It's a small comfort, but at least I don't have to worry about being out on the streets in just 3 days' time. He did mention that if I feel uncomfortable staying with the Peters during this period, there are other options available. For instance, they could move me into a youth hostel while waiting for a more permanent property to become available. However, I said that if possible, I would rather stay with the Peters until I'm ready to move, even if it does make me feel a little uncomfortable. It's just easier to deal with the discomfort than the uncertainty of moving somewhere new right away. My PA also informed me that the Peters will continue receiving the staying put allowance until the day I officially move out, and then it will be stopped. This means they are still financially benefiting from my presence, which feels a bit unfair given the circumstances, but at least it ensures they have a financial incentive to keep me housed until I can move out. On a completely separate note, my best friend and I had a huge argument earlier. It was one of those situations where things escalate quickly, and before you know it, you're saying things you might not mean. He said that I'm being ungrateful, which honestly really hurt me. We've been friends for a long time, and I thought he understood me better than that. We had a huge argument, and it was really upsetting. I just thought out of everyone, he would get me and understand what I was going through. But maybe not. It's hard to deal with all of this, and it feels like my support system is crumbling. Maybe I'm being unreasonable. I am really tired, so maybe my emotions are just not being controlled well at the moment. It's possible that in my tired and stressed state, I might be overreacting or misinterpreting things. I am going to talk to him tomorrow after I've slept, and I'm hoping this argument will just blow over because I need him at the moment. I don't feel like I have anyone else to lean on right now, and losing his support would be devastating. Oh, and I haven't read all the comments yet because I didn't expect to get so many. Thank you to everyone who has offered support. It is genuinely so sweet, and I am so thankful. The kindness from strangers on the internet has been a surprising and comforting source of strength during this difficult time. It's amazing to see how many people care and want to help.